everyone, this is Pat Mesiti live at 5, and I have an experience to share with you about today that happened with the Premier's office yesterday and with the Chief Health Destroyer, Jeanette Young. And let me just backtrack. Yesterday I was having lunch with family members and they said, "Oh, Pat, we really enjoyed James McPherson. It was fantastic. We love how James is satirical and funny." And then they said to me, "Oh, but Pat, you're coming across very angry." Guess what? I am angry, because what I'm about to tell you today, firstly, I'm angry at the media in this country that turned a flu into an economic, health, spiritual, emotional, family disaster. Yeah, I blame the mainstream media, Channel 7, Channel 9, Channel 10, whole bloody lot of them. And I know I said a naughty word, but my preacher friends can forgive me. I blame them all, because they've extended this thing, and they are to blame for some of this stuff going on. Number two, I'm really annoyed at our Prime Minister, Scott Morrison. I don't know why we need a Prime Minister. If Scott cannot intervene with these despots who are arresting grandmothers on park benches, knocking on people's doors because of a Facebook post, arresting pregnant mothers in their pajamas, watch this, and denying dying fathers' wishes, making someone choose which child can visit their dying father across the border. Scott, why do we need you, mate? Now, I know that might be a cheap shot, but I would tell that to his face. Matter of fact, I hope someone sends this to him. There's a reason you are called the Prime Minister. Palaszczuk, Dan Andrews, these two despicable scum people, and their henchmen in Brett Sutton, Jeanette Young, and up here, Stephen Miles. Stephen, you are the most spineless person I think I've ever met. And Palaszczuk is right there with you. You are the most heartless people. I don't know how you can call yourselves Australian. I don't know whether Palaszczuk's got chubby cheek syndrome or what the hell her problem is. Yes, and I'm making it personal. Yesterday, I decided to call the Premier's office to see what I could do as a dad who has not seen his daughter. My daughter Sophia lives in another state with her mum. I also have grandchildren there. And I'm not getting into the details of what I actually said, but there are reasons why I want to go and visit my daughter who lives in another state. Number one, no hotspot. Number two, I'm fit and healthy. I'm happy to go through any tests they want. All I said was, how can I go there and not have to spend 2 weeks in quarantine? I mean, I'm happy to do 2 weeks in quarantine if you give me 2 weeks like you gave Tom Hanks up here at Preppers Resort with a penthouse. That's not quarantine. Service 24 hours a day. Or the 400 AFL players up here at Sanctuary Cove, paid by our dollars. I'm happy to do that. But I'm a big boy. I'm happy to pay my own bills. So I called the Premier's office, and I was told by the lady, who was, by the way, very nice, and of course powerless to do anything, that I had to apply to the Chief Medical Officer, Jeanette Young, to ask permission if I, a tax-paying member of Queensland, a tax-paying member of the Commonwealth, can get permission from a non-elected official who's basically a pen pusher, if you look at her history, the most unqualified, both her and Brett, medical advisors. I have to take orders from an unelected official. So I'm nice on the phone. I call up. I call up the number that they give me, a 1300 number, and I'm told by a wonderful guy on the other end of the phone called Freddie that what I need to do is call, and so I call the number, and I will be taken to a website. That website is capital DLO at health.queensland.gov.au. But first, I've got to go to the government portal. Now, please stay with me because I want to tell you the real issue today. Stick with me. I go to this government portal, I'm sent an email back. I cannot make head nor tail. I'm a fairly intelligent guy. I cannot make head nor tail. I click all the boxes. All I want is a permit to go to Sydney, which I don't, you don't need a permit to go to Sydney, but just to come back as a tax-paying, healthy Queenslander. Well, I'm not a Queenslander. I live in Queensland, but not going to call myself in the room just yet. Actually, never going to happen, but let's leave that alone. So I don't have to quarantine because I've got family, I've got businesses. I'm told, oh, you need to ring up your federal member because there is a bipartisan agreement and he will represent you. So I call a great man, David Christofouli, up here. Great guy. Hopefully one day he'll become Premier. His office tells me that they basically, the Premier's office and the Health Office, have lied to me. They cannot do that. This Labor government in Queensland and Victoria lives in a state of perpetual lies. Now, I'm a dad who misses his daughter and misses his grandkids. I may have failed a lot of things in life, but I reckon I'm pretty good at being a dad. These people have no heart. They allow AFL players in here at our expense. They allow Tom Hanks to live in luxury, but a Sydney family is told that only one child can go to Queensland to say goodbye to their dying father. And I want to read this. The Australian border wars have hit a new low. Well, they couldn't get any lower, I can tell you now. With the Sydney family asked to decide which one of its 4 children will be allowed to cross the Queensland border to say goodbye to their dying father. The Prime Minister, Scott, you brother, Christian man, Pentecostal, ACC church-going man, brother, I don't know what's going on right now, but you're not leaving this country. I can tell you right now. The Brisbane dad and truck driver, Mark Kearns, 39, has inoperable cancer in his brain and lungs. His 4 children are all under 13 and stuck in Sydney with Queensland health authorities telling the family they can't cross the border. Their grandfather, Bruce Langborn, says the kids desperately want to see him. Could you blame them? Can you imagine the anguish? They told us we were being selfish, that we weren't taking into consideration the other cancer patients. That's what Mr. Longbourn was told. A grandfather. Let me tell you something. You know who's selfish? Palaszczuk, you are selfish. Jeanette Young, you are selfish. You are heartless. You're about votes. You think the people of Queensland are falling for your lie that you're protecting us. You're not protecting us. You're lying in your pockets. You have one rule for the rich, like Tom Hanks. And we all know what's going on with some of the stuff going on there over in America with some of these blokes. And you have another law for the AFL. And then another law for the broken-hearted people of Queensland. But they're not the only family. Ian Shaw is stuck in Tweed Heads and battling an identical problem. His father, who's in Brisbane, was injured on Monday, was just given days to live. He says, I'm getting frustrated. I want to see my dad before he dies. He's hanging around, I think, to wait for me and my sister to go visit them. These distraught families say the border rules have gone crazy. As Mr. Shaw says, it's a chook raffle, how this is being run at the moment. Can I assure you a chook raffle is better. At least you know there's a winner. Federal MP Pat Canahan has slammed the decision to let only Mark Kearns' children go to see him in Queensland. We're talking about 4 children between the age of 7 and 13 who want to see their father. Do you know what really gets me? Here's what gets me. These people don't have a heart. They certainly are soulless. They're doubles. And some Queenslanders out there, you still want to vote for Palaszczuk and her regime? You still want to vote to Dan Andrews, who locks up grandmothers? You know what they do in China now? They go around in China and they knock on the door of journalists and say, you are party. I wonder if that's the same thing that's happening to our journalists. Where's the Koshis and the Stefanovics and the current affair people who they'll probably target me anyway out of this one? Where's your outcry? You created this mess. False models, false stats, horrendous headlines, still now global pandemic. I heard this morning the Premier saying that we are not in a global pandemic. Dan, you're not in a global pandemic. You've had worse restrictions than Italy, Greece, Spain, any of the major nations where the death rates are in their thousands. What is your agenda? I can only think that you are slowly but surely trying to turn this into a socialist communist country. And my concern is, at a great level, where's our Prime Minister? Where are the governors and the Governor Generals that can abolish these parliaments? Where are you? Now, we the people can yell and scream. I'm very grateful for the likes of Paul Murray and very grateful for the likes of Peter Credlin, who, by the way, that moron down there in Victoria, the medical chief medical officer and the head of the industrial stuff down there, whose name evades me, but to call Peter Credlin has more intelligence in a little finger than you have in your entire body. And he says, "Oh, we're not going to give any economic promises." You know what? Because you don't have any. Your state is broke. I think the agenda is to drive it completely broke, so that they can enforce their socialist agenda. Scott Morrison, where are you? Where are you? Peter Dutton, where are you? Federal Treasurer, where are you? Your nation is crying out when a dead man, a dying man's father's wish for his children is denied. Firstly, the kids, if they get a virus, they're going to be able to get over it. Number two, I don't think they're going to transmit it. Come on, Palaszczuk. You got a handful of people up here, most of them because of your failures. We don't have a global pandemic. We have a national disaster with state premiers. Your political agendas, believe you me, the good book says, and I look at you in the eye and tell you this, what a man or woman sows, that will he also reap. And right now, you're reaping a really bad harvest. I don't know how you sleep at night when little children, and then you call them selfish. Nah, you're selfish. My other question is, where are the spiritual leaders in our country? Where's my silent friend, Tim Costello? Tim, it's going to take more than your hashtags, mate. You live in Victoria. Where's your outcry, brother? You're very quiet. I wonder if our she'll be right, mate attitude in Australia is actually going to be the very thing that cripples our country. She won't be right until we make it right. This is Pat Mesiti. Write to your members of parliament, start lobbying, start writing letters, start slamming them on social media, Palaszczuk, the whole lot, shame them, bring them to account, send letters, send inboxes to our Prime Minister. Because if we remain silent, the evil men will prosper. This is Pat Mesiti. You have a prosperous life.